You good?
We're good.
Okay. Good evening. This is the Town Harwich Finance Committee. It's Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. It is 6 p.m. This meeting is being recorded. If anyone in the audience plans to record the meeting, please let the chair know. I'll just note there's no one in the audience at this point in time. I will point out that we are in the Harwich Channel studio, and just so we're clear on who is here from the Finance Committee: Bob McCready, Mark Kelleher, Mark Amores, Michelle Gallucci, and myself, Peter Hughes, and Dana DaCosta is currently participating remotely. So I will declare a quorum, and I will declare the meeting open. Okay. I'm just making some notes. Okay, first order of business, the minutes of March 26, 2024. Those were sent to you earlier in the week. Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, again, I'm just taking notes here. Bob moved. Mark A. seconded. Is there any discussion on those minutes? I will say I'm very appreciative of Judy Malstead, who has turned these things around very quickly. To my knowledge, we are probably one of the few committees that's up to date on our minutes, and I appreciate it. She obviously watches these tapes. She transcribes the minutes. She sends to Mark and I. Mark is the clerk. Mark Keller and I. And we edit them to some extent just to make sure things are correct. And then once she makes any of those corrections, if there are any, distributes them to the team. So that's what we have here tonight. So I'm just appreciative of that. So any other discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. Mark?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Peters and I. Dana?
Aye.
Okay. 2, 4, 5, 6, 0. Okay, next is reviewing the 2025 operating budget for town departments. Do we have any new numbers, any new items related to the budget? I read that. Go ahead.
I don't have anything new. I know that, in terms of our discussions, we want to do two things. We want to increase the Finance Committee Reserve Fund, and we want to do something with the Cultural Center, or 204 system, in terms of putting its items in the budget. I know how to do the first one. I don't know how to do the second one mechanically. I mean, the first one's pretty easy. So I don't know if you're looking for a motion to reconsider that or not.
Well, let me just say on that topic of the 204, we did have the finance director in last week. To me, it's a matter of right now at 204, if I remember correctly, they have salaries and wages, which is the culture director. And then you add a line item that says expenses, much like the community center has. And then all those regular expenses that showed up on the sheets that were given to us by the finance director a couple of meetings ago, that list things like electric, gas, fire alarm, coastal engineering, which I believe is a septic system or treatment system over there. Those routine things should get rolled under there as an expense line, just like they do in the community center. The finance director, as I recall, when we probed her on the revolving fund, told us, I distinctly remember her saying, I can tell you when deposits were made and what the amounts were, but I cannot tell you what the details of those deposits were. In other words, how much is rent, right? How much is pickleball? So, but that, it can be done, right?
Yeah, if you entertain a suggestion, so that we have something on the record, I would vote the first item, fixing the reserve fund, and have a positive motion for it, and then we would have from now until town meeting to figure out how to mechanically do that in the terms of a motion on town meeting floor,
Right.
so that it's in there.
Right, that's fine. Let's chip away at it. So you'd like to move to reconsider, I have to get out my warrant, excuse me.
Yeah, I have to move to reconsider Article 4, the town operating budget.
Hang on a second.
Yep.
Okay, Dana's moving to reconsider Article 4, the town operating budget. For a second?
Second?
Okay. And again, I'm just making notes to make sure we have the votes recorded. Mark A. seconded. Okay. All those in favor of reconsidering Article 4?
Aye.
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 Unanimous, so it's 6-0. Okay. Go ahead, Dana.
So I would move to accept and adopt Article 4 with a total of $45,732,309 with $2,690,639 coming from other funding sources listed on the article. $16,307,350 from local receipts. $26,734,320 raised and appropriated or from taxes. And I would make the following two changes. One, the Finance Committee Reserve Fund, which is, I get the right line item here, which is line item 8. I would move to increase that from $50,000 to $125,000. And then I would move to decrease line 220, which is the fire department salary and wages, by $75,000. So it would go from $5,485,115 to $5,410,115, and with that $75,000 within that line item coming from overtime. And that's my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Just hang on a second.
I got lots of coffee, so I'm good.
So so Dana moved it, Mark Kelleher seconded. So the motion is to accept and adopt the town operating budget at $45,732,309 with the funding sources cited. I'm not going to repeat those. With the following modifications or changes. Item 1, the FinCom Reserve Fund, which is line item number 8 in the budget, to increase from $50,000 to $125,000, and 2, line item 220, which is fire department salary and wages, to be decreased by $75,000. In other words, we're taking $75,000 out of the fire department salary and wages and moving it into the FinCom Reserve Fund.
Can I make I think that needs a correction, what you just said.
What did I just say?
Well, you just used a line item for the Finance Committee Reserve Fund and an account number for fire salaries and wages.
Okay, yeah, I made that mistake. It should be
Line 76.
131 for the Finance Committee Reserve Fund.
Okay, that's consistent then.
Okay, so that's account 131.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody understand that? Okay, so there's a motion, Mark seconded it. Discussion.
Question.
Michelle.
How did we settle on 75K as opposed to 50 or 100 or?
Well, we could be whatever you'd like, okay? My view of it is, and we have done this in the past, that with overtime, because it's so dynamic, I mean, you can't tell me how many storms there are gonna be, how many, ambulance runs there are gonna be, how many needs to call back people, et cetera, that historically as a means of, better understanding, if I could say that, how we're spending our money on overtime, that we have historically in the past, the Finance Committee, has had funds in there that are dedicated to the overtime account, but held back just so towards the end of the fiscal year, the fire department would say, okay, I'm making this up. Okay, we're now, we've spent X. Our projection is we're gonna need that other 75. Here's a form that says, okay, I'm requesting I want it. And then we discuss it and, we approve it unless it's something, not correct about it. The 75 is a number.
It's just a gut.
It's a number.
Yeah, okay.
It could be 50, it could be 25. It could, I think 25 is too small, and I think 100 is too big myself, so.
Okay,
75.
thank you.
Dana, do you have something to say?
Yeah, at one point, the Finance Committee, reserve fund was at $250,000. I think getting it halfway back is a good start. And I think along with that, we should take some time this summer to reacquaint the reserve fund with different department heads that seem to have, forgotten that it's there and can help them when they're in a jam for smaller items, $5,000 to $10,000. I also think that having those funds in the reserve fund helps the bottom line of the town because it puts it in our reserves, and that's a number that Department of Revenue looks at. It also tells the fire department that, you had this big reduction last year, to put it all back in this year and not work really hard to management, we're telling you to work to management. I think all of those things are satisfied with this.
And let me just be clear, that there's no intention of questioning the fire department's ability to manage their overtime. We're not doing that. This is just a matter of good management practice from our standpoint to hold that last bit of overtime money until it's really needed, so.
As a follow-up question though, is the 75K within, let's say this goes through, within the FinCom reserve dedicated to the firefighters' overtime, or could that conceivably be used for another purpose if something comes up?
We had the first 50,000 as the latter of what you said, if something comes up. I am more than happy to, as soon as this passes, to encumber that money.
Okay.
So that the fire department knows they have it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we could vote to do that, and that ties it up for them, and then we vote later to release it if they need it. Again, this is something that will come up probably not till June. I mean, they have 1.3 something million dollars for overtime in this account. It's over $30,000 per eligible employee. It's a lot of money. So, to get down to their last 75 is not gonna be until right at the end of the year, towards the end.
It'll be next May if it happens.
Right.
Now, the other thing to be clear on is, Dana mentioned before about, we should build back the Finance Committee Reserve Fund. Regardless of the 75 we're talking about moving into the fire department, we are not doing that with this motion, and we're not changing the bottom line on the budget. All right, just to be clear, so. All right, any further, yep, Bob?
I guess I'm still debating how much to vote on this even with the original because of the size of the increase. That, and listening to comments even from our finance director at the last meeting, it's the increase on what is, I guess, essentially Schedule B is finally at the bottom line, 8.1%. And certainly from her indication, we can, as opposed to anything we, the Finance Committee, is doing, the town can expect debt service numbers which are going up $1 million this year and to go up more than that on a recurring basis going forward as wastewater kicks in. At some point, regardless of whether or not the tax levy can support it, that I'm not sure about the taxpayers being able to pay it. And that's starts becoming very worrisome.
I appreciate that, and I will also say that 8.1 is not sustainable. In our memo, or the memo I sent to the town administrator and the board of selectmen, I made that, very clear, it's not. But where's the chunk you're gonna take out to get it to 5%?
Well, exactly.
I mean, here we are. One of the difficulties we had this year, this whole process of getting the town meeting, the financial aspect of it has been so late in coming, particularly the certification of free cash. And free cash went from, last year was 7 million and now it's less than 3.
Right.
So, and I don't know if people were expecting that or not. I think we're all expecting some decrease, but probably not that magnitude. And as you can see, when we get to the capital plan, it has some impact on what's happening. So, but you're allowed to vote however you want to vote, right? So, all right, further discussion?
Can I ask a question?
Sure, Scott, who's out in the audience.
And I noticed that the latest packet, I guess it was the selectmen's packet, I was looking at appendix B, waiting for the 2023 actuals to replace the 2023 budget, and it's still the budget. And I'm just wondering, I know that some departments underspend, some overspend. I noticed in 2022, the police overall underspent by like 10 or 11%. And somewhere I saw the year-to-date actuals, I think a couple meetings ago maybe. And it looks like that trend continues with the police, even more drastically underspending their budget if you just do a straight line extrapolation of the, I guess, almost 9 months that they had in the actual column. So that's one way you could reduce the 2025 budget, by looking at actual spending trends.
So, okay, but some of those, particularly in the police department, my recollection is, talking with the chief, they have not been able to fill some positions.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have to make up some of that with overtime, but they still have those positions that are authorized and have to be budgeted so that hopefully they can fill them, say, this year.
Right.
I mean, that's the intent. The problem is, particularly in that department, the number of people that are pursuing that career apparently, is an issue. And we also heard a lot about the housing factor, which you hear in a lot of places. It's probably time we try and do something about the housing thing, and I've thrown out a few things in the past to do that, but we're not gonna get that done for this.
Right.
The other thing about the 2023 actuals, I think if I remember correctly, that was the finance director, was a matter of pulling out the next column. When she does the munis sheets, it's like, tell me what fields you want.
Right.
And, she was going with the fields she thought everybody would want, and some of us are actually interested in the actuals.
Because when that comes out, somebody looks at it at town meeting, or at one of these sessions they're gonna have before town meeting, if the actuals come in. That'll be a question, so there's the answer right there.
No doubt about it.
Probably budgeting very low vacancy savings.
And you have things like, we're still carrying the position of town engineer. We haven't had one for a couple of years, but the position is there. And until, my understanding is, until that's bargained out of the bargaining unit to eliminate that position, it's just there. So, someone could say, hey, wait a minute, I'm making up a number. There's 80,000 there. Now, we did hear some discussion that they plan to try to fill that position, but they've had some trouble getting that done.
Right.
So,
And a similar question is the revenue item that's like $17 million for other receipts. That line seems to be under budgeted consistently, and maybe for a purpose, to give you some cushion for unexpected events.
Yep.
But it's been like maybe a couple $1 million under budget, so that would be one way.
Yep.
If you trued that up to where you really think it's gonna be, that 8% would come down quite a bit.
Yep.
But it would only come down 1 year, then you'd be back on the same train.
You got it. Okay.
Yep.
You all set? Okay. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'll just say on the gentleman's comments that, this is our last crack at the budget before it goes to print, and we get, some of the stuff we've just figured out in the last week or so, in the last two meetings, it's very hard to, do the kind of analysis that he's talking about to get the 8% down to 6% or 5% or anything lower than what it is right now. This is what's before us. This is what the selectmen have given us. And other than the one change, I can't see a lot that we can do it on the 11th hour.
Okay, further discussion on the motion? And the motion is to, by the way, accept and adopt this town operating budget at the number which is printed, the 45+ million, with the funding sources cited, with the change that the $75,000 be taken or moved from the fire department salary and wages, which is basically overtime, into the finance committee reserve fund, raising the number in the finance committee reserve fund from 50,000 to 125,000. Any further discussion on that motion? All right, hearing none, we'll put that to a vote. Mark?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Okay, Mark?
Aye.
Michelle? Dana?
Aye.
Chairman's aye, so 6-0, okay? So Dana, what's your plan or expectation on the cultural center budget?
I think that I would like to try and find out what those actual expenses were in terms of the building. If we can get, like you say, the gas, the electric, the whatever heats it, all those things combined that would normally be under a building expense, find that out.
We have that. Dana, we have that. That was given to us by the finance director a couple meetings ago. Somebody have it handy, or somebody can dig it out and get it to Dana. We had a complete list from my reading of it, so I'm sure Bob has it. Let him dig it out, send it to you tomorrow, and then you can try and put something together.
Okay, because I think we could, right now, we do have some capacity within the raise and appropriate. We have like $90,000 available left, 91,736 to be precise. And we could do something where we increase that line item, the budget to cover those things, and then reduce the revolving fund account number when we get to that article.
That's exactly what we need to do.
Yeah, I've got it. I mean, I don't have it here.
Okay.
That's it.
But I did a whole schedule on this that I'll send to you, Dana.
Yeah,
Do
Bob.
you have a total now, a rough total, or?
No, because I did this weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay.
No worries. I
All right.
think we have time between now and the meeting to do that, but I don't think we have time to do that tonight.
Yeah, no, we
That's
don't.
why-
No. We also don't have the detail that we had asked for in the revolving fund as to, what the receipts consist of, if you will. I mean, we can all speculate it's rent and paddle ball or whatever, and et cetera, but we don't have that breakdown as to how much is collected in rents on an annual basis, et cetera, et cetera. So, okay? You good on that?
Yep,
Okay, let's move down to, I'm just going down the list here. We have issues. Article 9, Monomoy Middle School project. I have what was printed in the paper, $2.5 million, and I forget the percentage we're gonna pay, but it's pretty high. In our case, it would be a borrowing. I think in Chatham's case, they had the cash to pay for it, if I remember correctly. So, what's your pleasure?
I mean, I'll give you a motion to reconsider it. I
Yep.
move that we reconsider Article 9.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay, and so I'm just making notes in case we need them.
Yep.
Okay, so Dana moved. Bob, did you second?
I did.
Okay. Bob second to reconsider Article 9. So Article 9 is the Monomoy Middle School project. So let's vote that.
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Dana?
I,
All right, chair is an aye, so 6-0, okay. We got it back on the table. What's your pleasure?
I know the selectmen are supporting this. I know that I myself am gonna vote against it, even if there's a positive motion. I think it's a needed project. I think it's something we're gonna have to do. It just, to me, you know, we have a capital plan and these things are supposed to come along within them. We haven't seen that on this one. I don't know how long it's been bubbling below the surface, but, you know, the first time I got a number in a project was 2 weeks ago. That to me doesn't bode well for being a project of this size. And it's the only thing that the selectmen put on the ballot to go out to an override on. It doesn't, I mean, it didn't include the road money that's needed for that article. That wasn't put on there. The Brooks Academy wasn't put on there. The golf needs weren't put on there. Stuff that's been on the capital plan and working its way forward, were not included. And it just irks me that this one is. I mean, if we go all the way back to the early days, the reason the capital plan really gets started, as Sandy knows, is because of a school project that just came in and took town meeting by storm and it was voted. So putting these things in some sort of order, I have no problem at all making this wait a year myself, but I don't know how the rest of the committee feels.
Yeah, okay, so before we get to that, let me ask if there is a motion to support Article 9. Article 9 is to fund the Monomoy the Monomoy Middle School project.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll second.
so. Okay, so your motion is to
Support
support,
the siding and reshingling of the Monomoy Regional Middle School in Chatham.
so it's the Harwich portion
Mhm.
of the $2.5 million, just call it renovation, I guess, of the middle school.
Do you want me to read the explanation?
Well, hang on a second. And it's to be funded from a debt exclusion.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Contingent upon the passage of the related ballot question number 1, which appears on the annual town election warrant in Appendix A.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so the moved and seconded to support the article, accept and adopt our portion of the $2.5 million for the renovation work at the middle school. Discussion? We want to talk about the timeliness of it, which is one of Dana's concerns and issues.
Well, I think Dana was quite articulate with his reservations on the timeliness and information stream with regard to this project, and comparing it with the other issues related to the capital plan. So,
Okay, Michelle?
So we had the presentation for the school,
Mm-hmm. Just 2 weeks ago, right?
yeah, let's see, February 2024 it says, so I don't know exactly what the date was, but in the debt it says first payment on middle school siding replacement. So how does that work? So if we did not support it this year, what happens with this 250? Because we approved this, right?
We approved it without any discussion of what the project was, right?
Oh, it says right here, first
debt
payment
service,
on middle
right.
school siding replacement.
Yeah.
but we didn't go into detail about
They
that.
didn't discuss it with us. Anyhow,
You, Peter,
yeah,
Mr. Sir, I do note that, on the last, sources and uses document that the town administrator produced, it does have the money for this, in their sources and uses. I did not include it at the top of my one-liners for the amount of taxes we have available. In other words, if this article, they put $100,100 into our tax base to be able to, have that included as part of our raise and appropriate. The 90,000 that I talked to you about having available is without that in there.
yep. No, I
Because I
understand.
don't think we should have an article that comes after the sources and uses, that goes to use that money.
Right, no, I understand. I think that the concern is you have expressed, and Bob as well, just is, why wasn't this on the capital plan? You know, this is the classic case of what I call jumping the capital plan, which seems to be something we do kind of on a regular basis nowadays. Not that it's right or wrong. And, you know, when you look at the plan itself, which we're gonna talk about in a few minutes, it really ends up not being a plan, because you just, you know, you kind of at the whim of who stands up and says, I need money this year and what's available, I need to do this. So one of the questions is, you know, you can vote it, we can vote it and support it. The other one is to make a fairly clear statement that it belongs in the capital plan and bring it back next year, or put it in the plan for next year, but get it on the plan. I kind of view it as those two things. The work needs to get done, there's no doubt about it. Michelle, you had your hand up.
So, I don't have the capital plan in front of me right this minute. What is on the capital plan for the Monomoy schools? I guess is my question. Is all this stuff on the capital plan?
Always stuff. On the,
That's 400.
there's the Harwich Elementary School maintenance number in FY '25, 120,000. Tech School has some things.
That's gone, I believe.
Huh?
The 120,000 is gone off the current version of the,
Well, I'm just telling you what I have here in front of me.
I'm just looking at these.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at
They don't have anything on the plan. They
Right.
don't have any of they have an internal 5-year capital plan, which I suppose they share with somebody from time to time, but they certainly haven't shared it with us. We don't have any numbers in them of what's coming up next.
I guess my only comment is that if we're gonna look at that, the 2.5 million as not being on the capital plan, should all this be on the capital plan? Like, what is the procedure? What are our expectations in terms of capital expenditures? You know, it says capital 425,000.
I would be willing to bet that legally they don't have to share it on the capital plan where they are a school district, but certainly keeping the town that pays 75% of the bill informed as to what they've got coming is procedurally a correct thing to do. You know, even if we had a line down below in our capital plan that said Monomoy's 5-year forecast, it would be a good thing, I think, to help keep voters informed, but we don't have it at this point.
Right, because voters
Like I
don't
said,
see this.
I missed the meeting that you guys had with the schools where they started talking about this, but prior to that, had no knowledge of this whatsoever.
Peter, did you get anything from Monomoy Schools? Dana, I asked them to send it to you. They did do a presentation to the select board on this particular item. Did you get that?
Nope.
Okay.
I did not either.
Yeah, I requested it of the business manager. The only other thing, shortly after, and I don't have it in front of me, they're gonna do a roof replacement as too. That's going up to the school building authority. In terms of sequencing, it's probably good sequencing to get the shingling and the siding fixed before the roof. You know, they're gonna have a whole roof replacement. They don't have solid figures because it's going before the state to get some funding on that. So the sequencing does make a difference. Generally, you do that first, then you can do it first and then the roof.
And the other thing is, when I read in the newspaper, both boards of selectmen have endorsed the project,
Right.
so.
And one more comment to your point, I do know that the roof, they are going for a special roofing program,
Right,
green roofs right now, that the state is offering funding.
right.
So there may be timing tied to that, which brings to your point, the need to maybe do this now.
And they also recognized in the plan, in their budget, a debt service number for this. So, right,
Yep.
how much?
Well, there's two.
Yeah, tell us what they are.
Interest payment on high school construction loan, 321,062. And then a second one for 348,562.
What's it called?
Interest payment on high school construction
Well,
loan.
this isn't high school construction. That's the high school.
There's only high school loan principal, high school,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
those numbers are associated with the building across the street, not the middle school.
yeah, so the only thing I have is this first payment on middle school siding replacement. We don't know if that's interest and principal.
Well, no, it says a payment, so it's debt service that they anticipated when they put the budget together, right? What's that number? Can I see it, please?
Yeah, just says payment.
Yeah, first payment of middle school siding replacement, so this means they're borrowing the money, assuming it's approved, and the first payment within FY '25 budget will be $250,000.
But is that principal or interest?
It's whatever the payment has to be,
Yeah.
so, so it is.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so it's in the budget. We supported the budget, right? I think on this one, quite frankly, I'd rather argue about the town and how the town put its capital plan together, or lack of capital plan, than I would dump it on the schools at the moment. That's just me. But we have a motion. The motion is to support Article 9, school roof, reconstruction at the middle school as a debt exclusion, $2.5 million, our portion of the $2.5 million. Any further discussion on that? All right, again, we're gonna put that to a vote. We'll do a count vote. Mark?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Dana?
Nope,
Okay, and chair is an aye, so it is 5-1. So you can put that on the sheet, all right? By the way, in the studio here, if you hear some noise in the background, the town band is starting to play across the hallway here in the multi-purpose room. Okay, next I have is Article 16, adopt the capital plan.
Mr. Chairman, I make a move to, I motion to reconsider the Article 16, adopt the capital plan.
Okay, hang on a second, Dana.
Yep.
So Dana moves to reconsider. Your second?
We're on page 39.
Yes.
I second.
Okay. So Mark Amorez seconded. Let's put that to a vote. Just to reconsider, Mark?
Aye.
Bob? Mark?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Dana?
Aye.
Chair is an aye, 6-0. Okay. Here we go.
Let me just try a motion first, and then we'll see where it goes. I move to accept and adopt the capital plan, with the following three changes, and that is to put in the FY '25 column, the number $1,160,000 for the the Brooks Academy. 2,500,000 for the irrigation system under golf, and 1,500,000 on the 5-year road maintenance plan.
So in other words, on our version of the capital plan rack up, the items in red that were removed, the motion is to bring them back into the plan in FY '25, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
Second.
We have no,
Hang on a second.
Yep.
Dana moved it, Bob seconded. It's to accept and adopt the plan with, I'll say the inclusion, okay?
Yep.
Inclusion of the 3 items removed. Okay, now, discussion. Dana?
It's not like the old days when we had 2 separate plans, one that we could have in there that, we would ask the citizens to vote with those things in there. So this will have to be done with them looking at the plan as the town administrator and the selectmen have put it out, which is attachment number C, letter C in the warrant. But we'll do it through our motion on the positive motion for the article. And the only way they would be able to change our positive motion is to come up and amend the motion and
Exactly.
explain why they would want those
Yep.
items removed.
Yep.
We have no articles to fund them. The charter does say they're supposed to have articles for funding things that come up the year that they come up. Even if we're not gonna fund them, the articles are supposed to be there according to the charter.
By the
So
way,
it's
the
not-
articles will be in the warrant, and the warrant is under the purview of the Board of Selectmen, not the Finance Committee.
Right, and also, they did talk about funding them, the possibility of funding them. I did attend the meeting last night virtually, the selectmen. They did talk about funding them in the fall. I don't know how they can fund them in the fall, but, because I know you can't raise taxes partway through a tax year, I don't think, unless something's changed in the rules from years ago, which is possible. And I don't think we'll have free cash certified early enough to do something like that. Maybe they intend on using the stabilization fund or something like that, I don't know. But they're talking about addressing it in the fall. And if that's the case, having them in this year's capital plan to be addressed just seems like the prudent thing to do, rather than just putting zeros in for the whole 5-year plan. They didn't even move to put them into next year. So I would rather have that debate on town meeting floor than to go back and forth with them between now and then. We can, if they'd like, I'm happy to do that. So that's where I'd rather be on it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole concept of taking items that have worked their way up the capital plan and suddenly just throw them out, right? Just boom. Is it to say, well, you know, the golf course irrigation plan, it was in there to do it, but we didn't have the money, so now we're just taking them out the plan altogether and we never need to do it. Well, of course it needs to get done. It made its way to this year in the plan, so it must have had a priority, right, relative to some of the other things in the out years. Just like, and we get in this discussion about the Brooks Academy, for instance, you know, those that money, need for that money was identified. We all knew it was coming. They just aren't able to fund it. Yeah, we hear things about potentially, you know, a grant or whatever. But you can't just say that project is abandoned. At least I hope you can't, right? And then the road maintenance thing was in there, worked its way up the plan, and here we are, right? So I mean, this is the first time I remember where we're just taking things and chucking them off the plan because we didn't have the money. And by the way, we didn't take the time or have the will to put an article together that maybe take it out to a debt service or something else. Michelle?
So can someone explain to me what changes between now and the fall that makes funding it in the fall? What's the rationale?
Okay, so when they say fall, fall could be as late as Christmas, I mean, right? And let's just pretend, I'm just making this up, that we get our act together, somehow we figure out how to get free cash certified, I don't know, pick a time, let's say Halloween, right? It's a good time to get free cash certified, and let's just pretend it's $2.5 million, I don't know. They could say, okay, let's call a special town meeting and let's fund, one or two of these, or one of them or something, with those monies.
And
In the
when
meantime, project's off the plan, it's nowhere, so you're gonna be jumping the plan again to bring it back up, right? I mean, we sat in a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen in January, if I remember correctly, I don't remember the date. We had the capital outlay committee there, we had a joint meeting to review the capital plan. We all sat there and said, yep, that's the capital plan, and now it's not the capital plan, so here we go. Anybody else?
Question.
Scott, go ahead.
So we heard about a huge savings, it's in Article 52, the West Harwich Sewer Main Replacement Project, reduced from 6.5 to 1.5 million. Is that savings fungible at all with these projects?
That's a different color of money, as I call it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a wastewater project versus this. You can't just
No way of helping this.
you can't just do that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's unfortunate. It's for a reason, I think, right? So
They have to be set up to be for like things.
right.
Building construction or golf irrigation, I suppose that's pipes underground, but I don't think it qualifies as a sewer project. And they would have to be similar terms. There's a lot of Department of Revenue rules that guide how you can use money differently. That's why taking, as they want to do in that article, they want to take sewer funded project and change it back to a different kind of sewer funded project. But it's still within that realm of the type of article. The only way you could do it with that money is to have a separate article that revoted it and put it back out on a ballot again, but the selectmen haven't done any of that, so that money can only go into the sewer pool, which the sewer pool is gonna grow so far and so fast over the years that we're gonna be glad we had that money in there at some point.
Okay, again, the motion is to accept and adopt Article 16, the capital plan, with the inclusion of the three items that are removed. The three items removed with Brooks Academy for 1.16 million. Irrigation system at the golf course for $2.5 million, and 5-year road maintenance for 1.5 million. So further discussion on that. Bob?
So first, a comment back to Michelle's question. I think just to see if your question got answered by Peter, that it sounded like the possible source would be FY24 free cash that had been certified in the fall, as opposed to FY23 free cash, which didn't get certified until February or some such time. And so suddenly it's almost like spending the next set of free cash in advance.
That's right,
of
yeah.
next year's.
It makes next year really tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it sounded like the dynamic. Separately, I absolutely agree that these items should be on, this is a plan, and the items that were on the plan should be on the plan. Whether or not the discussion was to have them in FY26 or FY25, I think the idea of putting them in FY25 and prompting the conversation that was identified at town meeting sounds fine. The only risk it takes is that the outcome is to end up with the plan that we have, which is zeros in those three items and not doing it, or amending it, or trying to amend it again, I suppose, on the floor and put them in FY26 to get them on the plan. But But again, this is a plan, and it should show everything that's in the plan.
It will start an interesting discussion.
It should start an interesting discussion, that's right.
Okay, any other discussion? Sandy, do you want to weigh in on this one at all? Sandy Hall is with us, I see. At least I think it's Sandy Hall. It looks like Sandy Hall. Are you muted?
We still don't hear you.
Sandy, we can't hear you.
You have a microphone?
She's off mute. She's on mute.
Say something. No.
Your microphone may not be working.
Mute, off mute.
There you go.
Sign language.
Do you like it or dislike it?
Send us a text. Send us a text.
She like it.
Type it, put it on the screen.
You can use the chat, no? Is there a chat? We have a chat?
Yeah, do we have?
She could call one of
I
us.
don't have
Put her on
control.
speaker.
You want to call my cell phone?
Still nothing.
What's your cell phone? I'll hold it up to the camera.
508 496 3533.
Hold it up to this camera here.
Yeah, sure.
Nope.
Sandy, call that number. You have a cell phone? You have a pay phone?
She's calling.
Payphone.
We're having technical difficulties here in the studio.
Send us a fax.
It's just my number, Sandy. You know my number. You call me half the time.
Unknown caller.
It's unknown.
Oh,
You're unknown, Sandy.
This is truth, it's advertised, and we say we let anybody speak in front of the finance committee, even if we have to go to great lengths to do it.
Can you hear me now?
that
Yeah.
camera's public
Yeah.
record.
All right. First of
So
all,
wait. Sandy, hold on a second. I just want to explain.
Oh, she's gotta shut hers off.
Yeah, I'm
She has
just.
to mute hers.
Can you mute your speaker?
okay.
Okay.
We have to turn off your speaker too.
Who, Dana?
No, Sandy, listen to us on the phone, not on the laptop.
Here we
Can you
go.
hear me? I can't hear you.
Yeah.
So.
There you go.
Okay, so let me just explain. Let me just explain that Sandy Hall, who had a comment on the capital plan, was unable to make the audio connection into the studio, so she has called a cell phone to talk to us. So go ahead, Sandy.
First of all, I have to tell you that I watched your meeting of March 26th, and this meeting I had to come into because it's really refreshing to actually listen to a group of people who know what they're talking about.
Obviously, I wasn't at that meeting, but
The problem with this whole capital plan, the Brooks Academy, what have you, the idea that they're promising to take this up in the fall. Unless somebody in town hall is aware that there is some additional huge tranche of free cash that we are not aware of as yet, which I'm beginning to wonder about. There is no money to fund golf or Brooks Academy any more in the fall than it will be on town meeting floor this year. So the question is, why, if you haven't got the money now, how do you think you're going to have the money then? And if you're going to put it out perhaps to a debt exclusion in November, why not put it out to a debt exclusion now and let the voters decide? So the whole thing makes absolutely no sense at all. So I'm done.
okay, I'm gonna take you off just because it's very noisy. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, Sandy's point is well taken. It would have just taken 3 articles written as debt exclusions or whatever to get these things funded if we wanted to. So, but it didn't happen. We have a warrant. It is what it is. You have to deal with it. So again, the motion before you, accept and adopt the capital plan, which is Article 16, with the inclusion of the 3 items that I mentioned, which had been previously omitted. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, I'm going to put that to a vote. Mark?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Dana?
Aye.
And chair is an aye, 6-0. Okay. The next one I have, hang on.
39.
Okay, so, do we have any new information on 39? I don't have any. Was there any discussion last night in Article 39?
What is 39?
No,
Okay.
I know
No.
the selectmen have approved it. I know that if we're gonna do anything with it, we're gonna do
Revolving
it
funds,
in conjunction with,
page 54.
in conjunction with the 204 Sisson project, and whether we put those items into the budget or not. Otherwise, it's gonna go forward as it is.
And I would say if it goes forward as it is, one of our approaches is to indefinitely, our motion might be indefinitely postpone it because we disagree with the $300,000 at Sisson Road. Michelle?
I have a general question about revolving funds.
Go ahead.
So I don't know if this is the time.
This will be,
Quiet. So if I have, and let's just say I'm just picking out Council on Aging, I have $125,000 available for me during fiscal year. If I don't spend that, so let's just say I only spent 100, so I have $25,000 left from last year. Where does that $25,000 go, and why do I get another 125?
Some money you're given, it's the maximum amount you can hold in your account. So for instance, the recreation, right? Well, let's just take golf. Well, Golf Pro Shop and whatnot, they take funds in for people buying things, you know, et cetera, and they also have expenses associated with that they take in and out, and that's just how that one works.
So this is just how much they can spend
So it's a cap.
It's a cap.
on spending. I see.
It's
Well, and
a cap on
receipts.
how much they can have in the fund. The fund is funded by receipts typically, right? So for instance, Sisson Road, if you look at it, you've got, and I don't know the total answer there, we don't. You've got rents from the studios and whatnot, right? You got something that goes there from pickleball or paddleball, whatever they call it. I rented a room there for a special event on a Saturday and paid $100. Well, that goes in there. You know, those kinds of things go in there. And then the question is, what comes out of there for, you know, expenses, and when does it get swept so that you can pay those expenses? So, and that's why we're talking about the rack up of utilities and whatnot, as to what goes on. Okay. As to the end of the year, okay, Dana's gonna answer that question for you.
Okay, because that's what I'm
He's
curious
ready.
about. Dana?
Dana?
yeah, they have, there's total of all the revolving funds, there's 1.4 million right now in those funds. We did get that breakdown. There's over 300,000 in the 204 Sisson Road revolving fund, whatever their authorization is. So we really do, I mean, this is one that, like I say, when I first started coming to Florida, it really hurt my chances to get into this one and to try and find a way to meet with each department and put, you know, they have history now. They've been using these revolving funds for years. They should be able to move a section of them into the budget and just use the revolving funds the way they were intended. And that was, if you have, you know, budgeted 50 kids for T-ball and 60 kids show up, you gotta have a way to be able to pay for 10 other kids. Well, taking a small amount in from those parents and putting a small amount into a revolving fund to do that allows you to do that. But the 50 kids should be budgeted every year. Well, they're budgeting 0 kids and just doing everything through the revolving fund. And as you just saw, we voted to increase the budget for them so that they could add more programs. And when we asked flat out, does any of this money go into the general fund on these revolving funds to cover the administrative costs? You know, these things that the money has to be brought in to town hall. It has to be accounted for. A lot of other departments are involved in taking care of that. None of these funds go into the accounting end of things or the treasury end of things to keep track of all this. So if I had not gone to Florida on my yearly vacations, I would be up there to try and work out a program to bring those funds down. And as you can remember, back in those days, I was tasked with Don Howell to do that, him representing the board and me representing the finance committee. And I just apologize to everybody for not being able to do that. But that leaves us with this problem today of they keep asking for higher authorizations. Now they're all under the town administrator's purview. There's a lot of stuff out there. We haven't got good accounting information just because of the turnover in that department. And that's lower down on the list priority for what comes in and goes out, which is why we don't have the 204 Sisson Road numbers exact as to what they should be.
Dan, if I remember on 204, the total rack up of the numbers we saw was something like $214,000. Does somebody remember that number?
Something, we got a schedule, I know the revenue and expenses in the schedule that we got were 115 in and 115 out.
Yeah.
It was basically a break-even operations, even with the extra expenses that we indicate that really should be moved to the budget.
So I think on this one, Dana, and everybody, we can either accept and adopt, these are the same spending limits as they had last year, according to what it says here. And, or we focus on 204 Sisson Road and, either vote to indefinitely postpone or whatever, or accept and adopt with a positive motion with the change that 204 Sisson Road be 100,000 or something like that.
Yeah, I think we can come to that after tonight. What I would recommend for tonight is that we reconsider it, and then if we have enough votes, vote to indefinitely postpone it and let the selectmen explain what they're doing there. Let them bring the positive motion and let them answer the questions, and we'll just put in our comments why we think that there's need to be more work done on this program as a whole.
I think that's a better approach. That's your
So I would move to reconsider Article 39, the revolving funds annual authorization.
Hang on a second. Okay, Dana's moved to reconsider.
I second.
Okay, Mark. Reconsider. Okay, let's put that to a vote. Move to reconsider. Mark?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Dana?
Aye.
Chair is an aye, 6-0 to reconsider. Okay, you have a positive motion? Or a motion?
I don't have a positive motion. If anybody else does, they could make it.
I don't see one.
Otherwise, I would vote to indefinitely postpone.
Okay, motion is to indefinitely postpone. That's Dana. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Discussion?
I think you heard most of my comments.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
sounds
no, I
like a
did.
good approach.
Okay, all right, so we'll put that to a vote again, on Article 39. Motion is to definitely postpone.
Aye.
Aye.
Bob, Michelle,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Dana,
Aye.
chair is an aye, 6-0, thank you. Okay. Transfer in Queen Anne Road, the transfers, the three that are here, we were hung up on what the expenses were.
Is this Article 40?
This is Article 40, 41, and
41 and
42.
42.
Yep.
You see anything there?
No, I just want to make sure I was in the right spot.
Okay, do we have any new information there?
Yeah, they're just, there's no actual cost to this. This is a no-charge article. They're just asking to transfer basically the authority of these three over to themselves. So they could do more with it. It's kind of takes them, when we took the land, it was for this purpose or for that purpose or whatever purpose. This would put it under their purpose with the idea of selling it.
So is the line item that says, by request of the select board, estimated cost, blah, blah, is the blah, blah going away?
Yeah,
Okay,
it has
so,
on the latest version I saw last night,
okay,
didn't have any cost in there at all.
Right, it's just by request of the select board, period.
okay, so my suggestion is, why don't you make a motion on Article 40, 41, and 42, we'll do it as a group?
Yep, I move that we reconsider Articles 40, 41, and 42. These are the transfer of Queen Anne Road land, number 172, 174, and 246.
I second.
Okay, hang on a second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to reconsider Articles 40, 41, and 42, had to do with transfers of land to Queen Anne Road. We'll vote that. Mark?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Dana?
Aye.
Chair is an aye, 6-0, okay. Get a positive motion?
I move we accept and adopt Articles 40, 41, and 42, which is a transfer of Queen Anne Road land, number 172, 174, and 246.
There a second?
I second.
Okay, Dana moved and Mark Hammer has seconded. Accept and adopt Articles 40, 41, and 42, which are land transfers. Any discussion?
There's a helpful map on page 57.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, hearing none, we'll put it to vote. Mark?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Dana?
Aye.
Chair is aye, 6-0. Okay, so we have accept and adopt on those.
No.
Gets us down to Article 51, electronic voting at town meeting.
And I believe there's still no dollar amount on this article.
What they had at the selectmen's meeting last night is that the article was written. It was with an estimated cost of $50,000. They voted to accept and adopt it, much like we talked about with no funds. I don't know if they plan to change that later. There is enough capacity under raise and appropriate to do it that way. So I think that if it got down to it, I think they're in a situation where they don't know exactly what type of system they're gonna order and what type of cost that's gonna run into for the first year. I think it will be in that $50,000 range. If you are a purist who likes to say that we should have all these things bid out before we get to town meeting, you would not go near this until we're ready for it, but they're moving ahead with supporting it. I would like to move ahead with supporting it, and if we can arrange between now and town meeting to get a dollar figure and some sort of memorandum of understanding with, I mean, these are all presented at MMA up at Boston each year, these voting systems. I know that the town moderator wants to do this. I know that Orleans does this. I know a lot of other towns do this. I would like to support it somehow and hope we can get the dollars out there between now and town meeting.
My thoughts are actually to stay we are, no recommendation pending further information, because we're not the ones developing a dollar number and a source of the funds. It's gonna be up to them. So once they figure that out, we can always reconsider this at that point in time and
Okay.
support the motion. I mean, that's how I feel about it. I don't know how others feel. Unless you
No,
wanna
that's
make a
my
positive
question.
motion, Dana, and try it.
Okay, I'll move to reconsider Article 50, electronic voting at town meeting.
Hang on a second. Okay, Dana moved to reconsider the second. None of a second, Dana.
Sandy, you didn't second it?
Okay, so we'll leave it as it is, okay?
Okay,
All right.
yep.
And then we have, Article 52 is water collection system transfer authorization. We have anything there?
I'm gonna, yeah, we have two things. We have, articles written for both 52 and 53, which is a new article that was added to the warrant last night. Both of these were included by the selectmen last night in there, to officially include it in the warrant. They voted both of them to accept and adopt them. The first one, and they also, at the very end, voted to renumber them so that the herring fisheries end up being the last article again. So the next thing I send out to you guys will show the renumbering. So there are actually 51 and 52 now, but we have no position on these. We haven't voted them. We haven't discussed them.
We don't have any words. Dana, we don't have any words.
Well,
You know,
they were in the packet last night.
Okay, somebody wanna read
yeah,
what the
we went
article
back
is?
to last night.
I can,
We can make no recommendation if you'd like, because we haven't had really a chance to look at them and so forth. I'm amenable either way.
Let me just take a minute to read this.
Yeah, basically one of them transfers the money left over from the Route 28 sewer project. We voted $6.5 million, it only took $1.5 million, good estimating. And the $5 million that's left over, they want to transfer into the collection, for wastewater collection system. So it's just an authorization to do that. So that would be a $5 million transfer of those funds into there. The second one is to begin a fund sewer assistance grant program to help people that are signing up for the sewer system and can't afford it. There are some people that cannot afford it all to do what needs to be done to hook up. So this grant system would do that. Again, this money's coming from the
52 and 53, right?
sewer system enterprise funds or their collections that they bring
Oh, they
in.
kept the same numbers.
I have no idea
Here,
what the
they didn't move
criteria
this yet.
of the
50
grant
they
program
didn't.
is, so that one might be a good one to hold till we find out some particulars of what, if they're just putting the money in and then gonna make it up, that's one thing. But if they've got something, a program all lined out with, and need to fund it, that's another thing, so. I don't know if this would help, 10 people or 3 people or 50 people, I don't know.
Well, you run into the same situation we do in the early childhood stuff, that we had no idea when we voted it, how many people were gonna show up. It turns out 63 kids, if I remember correctly. But I think it looks like they're putting in place something to give the possibility to get some relief to people if they need it. And you never know who's gonna show up, right? So, okay, so I had the chance to read them here. I don't know if anybody else has read them. Has anybody read them? Maybe show that to Michelle. Have you read them, Dana?
Yes.
Okay.
have you had
I read them last night, yeah.
Okay, so with that, if you wanna make a motion, we'll entertain it. Let's put it that way.
All right, so on the water collection system transfer authorization, I would move to accept and adopt that article.
Is that now 52?
They said they moved the herring to last.
They
but
did
I don't
not.
know if they did.
No,
This is the packet, not the results
This
of
is
the
the
meeting
packet.
last night.
They voted after the packet was delivered to them to move the herring to the end. So what I did is I took having from spot number 50 and moved it up to 53, which pushed everything back.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure by assigning a number to it, we don't mislabel it, so we need to do it by
Right.
the words.
That's why I didn't give the number, I just gave water collection system transfer authorization for $5 million.
Okay, water collection, I'm just gonna call it transfer $5 million, right?
Yeah.
So your motion is to,
Accept and adopt, it's a no charge article, it just.
yeah, no, I understand. Okay,
Transfer the money.
is there a second to that?
I second.
Okay, discussion. Go ahead.
Based on the article anyway, I think they're implying that they don't know at this point that the result is exactly $5 million. The article was written to make it the difference, the funds not needed for the West Harwich sewer main replacement project.
Right, they're moving it.
Right, so, so I guess what I would like to do would be to amend the motion to be consistent with the article as written,
By doing what?
by changing from $5 million to the funds not needed for the West Harwich sewer main replacement project.
I'm comfortable with making that my original motion if the second wants to approve that.
You good with that, Mark?
Okay.
Yep, okay, so we're good, right? So it's the delta.
Yeah. When you see my rack up of it later, or if you say NC, you'll say no charge, because it's not a money article.
Yeah, no, I
But the
understand.
explanation will have it correctly labeled as a
Yep,
difference.
no, I get it. All right, further discussion on that. The motion is to accept and adopt. This is the water collection transfer. I'm just calling it that. Okay, we'll put it to a vote.
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Mark, Dana,
Aye.
Sarah's and I, 6-0, okay? All right. The other one's the sewer assistance program.
Move to accept and adopt $100,000, or that's what it's for, to be transferred from sewer enterprise funds.
Okay. There a second to that?
I second.
Okay, Dana. Okay, move to accept and adopt the sewer assistance program, $100,000. Discussion? Bob?
I guess I'll repeat the comment that I guess was made a couple of minutes ago, maybe by Dana, that the article as written leaves entirely open the actual details of particularly things like qualifying for the money, which sound pretty important. There are also alternative ways to assist people than simply grants, flat out grants, and so I would not support the motion.
Okay. Further discussion?
I know,
Go ahead, Dana.
I know from my point of view, if I could be king for a day, or queen for a day, whatever, I would authorize $1 million to come out of the stabilization fund to help assist people to connect, just because I think a lot of people are gonna need a lot of help before this is all over. And if this is a way to get it started, I think it's a good idea, but with your concerns are also my concerns about what it is and how it's come to be. I would like to try to find that out between now and town meeting, and if I'm not satisfied with this answer, I'll be asking to reconsider this again, to talk about it, but, right at this point, I just like the idea of getting it going.
Understand. Michelle?
Can you reiterate your point, because I think I agree with your point, but
Well, and the first point just being the details, but
Yeah.
the second point being, one possible alternative would be to still deal with the issue, which has been around since the beginning of this project, but to deal with it through a betterment, and so as to basically get the money, for the town to get the money back when the property is sold.
interesting.
And as opposed to just having a flat-out grant.
So may I comment? So my
may.
comment is, you know, I'm always concerned about these income thresholds because, you know, somebody who comes right over that threshold might not qualify for any of that grant money. And really, everybody may need some grant money. Maybe people lower income might need more. But I think it should be graduated, you know, so that everybody can qualify for some money, not just gets cut off at a certain income level. Because that can make it very difficult for the people who are right in the middle, who don't have a ton of money
Absolutely.
and aren't low income, and this is still a really major expense for them.
The
So
details are important.
the details around financial assistance to income eligible individuals would be important.
I would guess, just from those words, that they would do something that would be similar to what the county has for a septic loan program, something like that.
The Aqua Fund?
I think it's called that, yeah. And I don't know what the income limitations are and whatnot, but I'm sure there would be some program like that they're gonna mold our program after. I mean, why make up your own guidelines, right? You're gonna go with what other people are using. I
It's
don't know the answer.
it's like financial aid for college, right? You know, you get over a certain point, you get nothing,
Right.
and that doesn't mean it's cheap for you. So
So the real problem with this whole thing is,
for me,
no, the real problem with this whole thing is when these warrant articles get initiated and when they get tossed in the warrant at the last minute, we're expected to make decisions without much further information, discussion, dialogue, etc. And here we are. So one approach is just to say no,
Yep.
and then maybe some message will be sent. Not that we're bad guys, not that we're bad people, but, you know, throwing these things at us at the last minute without fleshing them out. Bad terminology, flesh them out.
well,
But
can I make one additional comment is, so you could have a taxpayer who is subsidizing somebody else sewer hookup or whatever, you
Right.
know, septic hookup, or
yep.
and yet they have to pay for theirs 100% as well. So it's like a double whammy, and I don't think that's right. So
That's fine.
yeah,
Remember, I always told you, you're allowed to vote no.
I know. I think you can see where I'm going with this.
I don't know. Okay, further discussion?
I just think, Michelle, the only comment I can make there is that, we're gonna need a lot more of this, and maybe it is several different approaches to the different levels of income people that are gonna need support. We're gonna need a lot more of this before this is all said and done, and $100,000 towards anything that's gonna end up costing tens and thousands of millions before it's all done is just not enough money to do anything.
Well, I think Michelle's point though is it's best right up front to define what the program is as far as who's eligible, who
Yeah.
isn't, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
As
Which, by the way,
promised,
you have to do before you ever spend a nickel of the money, so.
As promised, I will find out between now and town meeting what they have in mind, and I will make sure that, and it might be hard now that we've lost the principal of that department. But my intent is to find out what they have in mind and what they prepared prior to this article just showing up on the last night that the selectmen got to deal with it.
Yeah, just remember that, you do have a set of water commissioners, so,
Yep, I
right?
do.
Yeah, well,
And there's at least one typo in the article.
okay. You want us to find it?
No.
No, okay.
Peter, just one
Mark.
quick thing, that old saying, you build it and the people will come, Chatham is finding they're not coming. And it's a big issue about getting people connected, so I'm in favor of this, to get that program going. What you'd hate to do is build all the main lines and not have people connecting. You wanna get off to a good start.
Well, I think that, and I had the numbers all wrong, trust me, but when we started to build East Harwich, you know, that intermunicipal agreement with Chatham to send our stuff to Chatham, I was there negotiating when that happened. I mean, that's how long ago that was. And if you ask how many connections are actually made and what our gallonage is going to Chatham, it's like nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the number, it's like less than 200 houses or something, or maybe it's 250 or something, I don't know the number, but it's not if you look at the potential for where all the lines are at this point in time and who could be connected,
Yeah.
you're right, people aren't connecting. And they need to if you're gonna make it effective. So, okay, so again, the article, sewer assistance program at $100,000. The motion is to accept and adopt. Further discussion. Hearing none, looks like you're ready to vote.
Aye.
Bob?
No.
Aye.
No.
Dana?
I,
Chair is an aye, so that's a 4-2, I'm sorry. 4-2 with Michelle dissenting and Bob. Okay, what else we got?
I have just one more, Mr. Chairman.
What would that be?
That would be, let me find it here, that would be Article 13, the pesticide article.
Yeah,
Petition article. And I voted against this, the vote was 4-3, so I can't be one of the ones that brings it back up. But I just wanted to let everybody know for informational purposes that the selectmen, we had the benefit of notes from town council for that meeting. They voted 4-0 not to support this. And, if we're gonna have people go out and argue in favor of this, I only suggested that, somebody find out why they really voted against this, and, they didn't support it. But that's just for informational purposes. I would hate to see us go out arguing for something that, I know that when he was before them, the petitioner, especially on the trees, wanted to change the language. We did vote to indefinitely postpone the tree article. He wanted to change the language on the trees and didn't understand why he couldn't change the language. He didn't understand the process that this is a petition article and you can't change the language once it's submitted, unless you get the signatures of all the others and so forth. It's a very tedious process. And he said something about the that some of this wasn't as he intended. In terms of the way it was written. As you know, this was copied from another town. So I just want to make sure that those who are in favor of this know that that's the case. That's all, just information. You can do with it what you want.
okay, so Dana's talking about Article 13, which is petition article on pesticides. We voted accept and adopt 4-3. He's asking, based on what he just said, if any of the positive voters have any interest in reconsidering that. I'm just asking because it was raised. So I see nobody raising their hand, so we'll let this sit for now, okay?
Yep.
All right, anything else to come before this group tonight?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Wait a minute, you just said you had one more, and then that was 2 more
You
ago.
only get one, Dana.
I have no more articles to talk about, but I have the process left to talk about.
Okay, go for it.
I am going to write up our reasons for these. I'm going to write them up as soon as we end this meeting.
Right,
And I will send them to you, Mr. Chairman, as
Yep.
a draft.
yep,
And you can fix the manisms or whatever. And then I'll send them to everybody, including administration, so that they have them in time to print the warrant.
okay, if you get them to me by tomorrow morning, I'll turn it around for you in the morning, and,
Yep.
you should
Yeah,
be
you'll
able
be
to,
in bed before finish.
yeah, well, we have different sleeping habits, but anyhow, it's okay. I'm not going into that detail, but anyhow, the clocks aren't synchronized, let's put it that way.
That's true.
So then it could be possible that by late tomorrow afternoon, you get that package to, the selectman's office,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay? All right, Michelle,
That's acceptable to everybody else. I just
Okay,
want, usually we have a draft to everybody, but.
yeah, I think we're good.
A
Michelle,
moment of haste.
Michelle has another.
Next meeting?
I'm not gonna schedule one at this point in time.
Okay.
I will be out of the country next Thursday through the following Thursday. If something comes up and we had to meet out of necessity during that time frame, I rely on the vice chair to call, post a work with Mark and Judy and post a meeting and get something done. I don't anticipate that. We'll probably be the week before town meeting, maybe meeting again, and certainly the night of town meeting, we meet early, and for any last minute items, so,
Thank you.
okay,
Is
I'll
there
be
any,
back around the 1st of May so that we can meet in person.
there you go, all right.
is there any need to approve minutes prior to you coming back, or we can wait till you come back?
We can wait till we meet next.
Okay.
We typically do them at a meeting.
Yeah.
And we'll be at our next meeting, so if we don't meet until the night of town meeting, the first item could be to vote the minutes of tonight's meeting, for instance. But that's also why we're gonna make sure Dana's write-up and his new rack-up and whatnot reflects what we actually did here tonight. Which I'm sure it will, but it's good to double check it, okay? All right, now a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
All right, it's non-debatable. All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. I think it's a very productive meeting. And by the way, given the lateness of all the financial information we got in the warrant, I think you folks have done a remarkable job getting through this. Would we have liked to have had this stuff earlier? Yes. I would welcome the opportunity after town meeting to have a head session with the, the parties involved to say, hey, how can we make this better next year,
Yeah. More deliberate.
Thank you.
Okay, good night.
Bye, Dana. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
all
Dana.
your work.
Hi, Sandy.
Bye, Sandy.